This is a Spotlight review of Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Combat Megatron, based off of this Generation 2 color scheme of an unreleased action figure. So, let's not waste any time. Let's put him aside for a moment so we can take a good look at the packaging. Pretty bland cardboard that's got some details on it, but nothing too fancy. I do like the painted on Autobot symbol and how it's actually dripping. That's pretty cool. Cybertronian letters. Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy. Ages 18 plus by Hasbro. And down here where the flap opens up, we've got the authentic Transformer stamp. And remember, if it doesn't say authentic, it's a knockoff. On the other side, we got the Misaligned Generations logo. Up above that, Takara Tomy. And on this sticker, we also have Combat Megatron, and it's the only way to tell what exactly is in the box. On the side here, we got warning choking hazard. On this side here, we got the rest of the Autobot logo. On the back side, we got Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy. And on the bottom of the box, we've got nothing. So opening up the flap here, you can see we got that nice honeycomb shape going all around on this thing with that backdrop of all the packages for the Decepticons. And here's another Cybertronian symbol, which we've seen a few times on the packages for the figures. And speaking of the packaging, there it is. That's your tray that would house the action figure himself with his forearm cannon and sword. Again, nothing too fancy. On the figure's not alone, he does come with a set of instructions, even though I would have preferred more of a trading card. Even though it's pretty much copy and paste here, there are a few differences to notice. Like if you look at the very top, the new Voyager Megatron says Combat Megatron, where the old one actually just says Megatron. For the retail release of Megatron, it says War for Cybertron Siege number 12, while on Combat Megatron's instructions it says War for Cybertron Generation Select number 1. I'm taking a look at the tank mode for Combat Megatron. It is, once again, just Megatron from the retail release with a minor change, which we'll get to in robot mode. But the real difference is actually the color scheme. And yes, of course, there was actually a Hero Megatron that was released during the Generation 2 line, but it was all purple and not this. Outside of that, the only real cool thing about this figure is actually the tiger stripe. And the tank turret itself is actually in white with a little bit of some tiger striping here at the top. As you may have noticed, we also have a Generation 2 Decepticon logo. And down below that, we got MGTN95. Which I guess stands for Megatron 1995. Megatron still has the option to rotate at the turret, with a little bit of some up and down movement at the barrel. And down below at the bottom, you can see that Megatron's playing peekaboo, I see you. And there are some working wheels at the bottom, so if you wanted to roll it around, you can. One of the real changes that I noticed on the barrel is actually that it's painted in a matte black. And it does have some red highlights here on the side. But a majority of it is painted in that nice olive green. But I don't know, I mean the matte black finish just really isn't working here. It kind of makes it feel cheap in a way. But one nice attention to detail that I do appreciate is that they actually painted the inside of the barrel. Okay, so there's not much else to say about this. Let's go ahead and do the obvious. So let's dare to compare with the retail release of Siege Megatron. And as you can see, the real difference is obviously the color scheme, at least in this mode. Oh, and the one thing that I did forget to mention, and I just noticed for myself actually, is that the lights on the front of the tank for Megatron, the retail release, are actually painted, while on Combat Megatron, they are just left unpainted. And here's a good look from the side of both, and as you can see, we got the combat damage going on here for Siege Megatron, while everything's all tiger stripe on Combat Megatron. Here's a good look from the top, and here's a good look at the back. And just because, here's a good look at both figures from the bottom. The lack of paint here on Combat Megatron is really showing, but this figure is going to be seeing his name on the tank anytime soon. Now on the transformation, the first thing we're going to do to get him in the robot mode is we're going to remove the barrel of the turret and put it aside for a moment. Next thing we're going to do is untab Megatron's legs, and then we're going to slide down these pieces here, swing around the legs, bring them out like so, and then close this panel back, and then straighten out the leg. Go ahead and repeat the same thing on this side here. Swing that down, rotate it around, and then close this back up, and now we can fold out the feet. Go ahead and swing around the waist, come to the top of the tank and untab the sides here and flip this piece all the way back. And then we're going to come to the arms of Megatron and we're going to split them apart. Grab the front of the tank and pull it apart like that. Fold down the treads and they do tab in to this back piece like so. Swing the arms around and tab them into place. And if these pieces haven't swung down on you, go ahead and do that. This back piece is going to become his backpack, so we're going to swing it all the way back and tab it in at the bottom. Come to the forearms and flip out his hands on both sides. Swing around Megatron's forearm cannon. Bring up his head just a little bit. Readjust everything to your liking. And here we have Combat Megatron in his robot mode, which again is pretty much the same figure we got before. Minus one change, besides the color scheme. And that's the head! I was not expecting that at all. I thought this was just going to be a complete repaint and nothing else. But no, we actually got a brand new head sculpt here. Does it resemble the original Generation 2 Megatron figure we never got? I have absolutely no idea. I never really actually looked up pictures of this guy. But regardless, it is a really nice head sculpt here, even though it's really hard to see anything on it. Like, the white is fighting with the camera, and so is the darkness of his face. The only real thing that I can make out is obviously the eyes here, since they're painted in a vibrant red. But regardless from what you can actually see in person, this is actually pretty nice. And to be honest, I really think that the black face with the white helmet actually works. Sadly though, when it really comes to any more paint applications on the figure, this is all you really get. I mean, look how plain the chest and the crotch section is. The only real paint on it is actually just these red dots here. Same goes with the forearms, they're all just white. Here's the legs here so you can see what's going on. And to take a look at the back of the figure, once again it's one and the same minus the colors. And when I say minus the colors, I mean minus the colors. This figure is actually pretty good for what it's going for here, which is an homage to an original figure which we never got during the Generation 2 era. I think that this is pretty much hitting it. This is what you would actually come to expect back in 1995. And yes, to throw Megatron's name here on his chest, that's definitely Generation 2 right there. So to transform Megatron's cannon into his sword, we're just going to fold this down. And then we're going to swing these pieces back and they're going to tab in right here on the side. And the tip is going to come together like so. And then we got a handle piece right here, or we got this tab right here where we could actually peg it into the forearm here or into his hand. Just like that. And yes, weapon storage is still optional here, as you can see. But you can't really tab the sword into place here at the top because it's very loose fitting, actually. Honestly speaking, I don't know if this is mold degradation already at an early age, but this figure does feel pretty loose in some areas. But I do like the fact that the collar piece, or should I say the neck of Megatron, is actually pretty secure here. Let's go to the articulation, and Megatron does have a ball joint at the head. Shoulders are on hinge joints. And there's a swivel cut to allow a full 360 rotation. There's a swivel joint above the elbow section. Elbows are single jointed and they only get 9 degrees of bend. Due to transformation, there's a hinge joint to allow inward and outward movement at the hand. There's a swivel cut at the waist. Legs are universally jointed, so you get this much kicking forward, and that much going back. And yes, Megatron can pull off a full JCVD split, so there's your still quality. There's a thigh swivel cut at the hips, single joint at the knee that does get 9 degrees of bend. There's a little bit of a hinge joint for up and down movement here at the feet. And if you unclick it, you can get some ankle rocker movement. And if you want to count this as articulation as well, yes, the back heel spurs can actually move up and down. Though they're really loose on mine and they don't stay in place. And for your size comparisons in robot mode, here's both Megatrons standing side by side with one another. And while their bodies may be at the same height, due to the fact that this Megatron has a new head, he does have a little bit of a height difference compared to the actual Voyager release. Combat Megatron is an okay figure, but if you already got Voyager Megatron from the Siege line, I really see no reason to pick this up, especially if you're not interested in variations, especially if they harken back to Generation 2. I don't know what kind of drugs Hasbro was on back then, but as it stands here, the figure does have its charm. But I guess Generation 2 action figures were pretty plain. Most of their applications when it comes to paintwork wasn't even paint, it was just stickers. At least that's one thing that I can be proud of, is that this figure does not feature any stickers. And I do like the new head sculpt. This action figure mold is still far better than any other Voyager Megatron we've ever had coming out of the Chug line. So if you're into the variety, especially when it comes to Megatron figures, why not pick this one up? He's a really cool action figure that definitely hits home base, especially if you grew up in the 90s. So with that said, questions or comments, do hit it down below in the comment section of the video. If you like today's video review, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to give me a sub up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Don't forget to throw in the towel. And until then, my friends, this is the unprofessional toy reviewer Hasbro signing off by saying, when the opportunity persists, don't give up on your dreams, siege the moment. And thank you for watching.